Today you will meet two outstanding former Major League pitchers, Mike Moore, who starred with Seattle before becoming a World Series winner for the Oakland A's, and Scott Sanderson, whose pitching career spanned 18 big league seasons as they examined the fundamentals of putting.
Hello and welcome to another session of CGA Celebrity Golf. I'm Mark Eberle, Director of the CGA. Joining me today, Scott Sanderson and Mike Moore, two former Major League Baseball pitchers. Join us as we take a look at the putting stroke. Scott.
Yes.
Let's see what you got, man.
I'll show you how strong I can be. How's that?
Okay. That means you're not going to be short of the hole?
Oh, see that putt over there that didn't go in?
Uh-huh.
This one might go near it.
Let's see. All right, all right. Nice up. That's what that's called, nice up.
That's a side by each.
We're going to take a look today at three basics of the putting stroke. It's what I've always taught everyone. It's the three things I've always focused on. Outside of that, as we talked, you can make it as personal as you want. We're not going to put you in a box and say it has to be done like this. What we're going to do is give you three basic elements that I guarantee you, if you incorporate these things into your putting stroke, you're going to make more putts and you're going to get better. First, priority. Let's get a golf ball 3 feet from the hole.
Go ahead, Mike.
This is a cute one. You're going to enjoy this. Your honors, 3 feet up here.
Your honor,
Bring
your
it
honor.
up here.
3 feet.
This is where you can't miss from, right?
You've never seen me putt.
Well, first of
about
all, 3 feet there.
No?
That's good.
Okay.
Okay. What we're talking about is the reason we put you 3 feet from the hole. Get over your ball, get ready to putt. Now, out of the corner of your eye, without moving your head, can you see the hole?
Yes, sir, I can.
The reason we do this is so you're not tempted to what we call peek before you make your putting stroke. Because one of the critical things in your putting stroke is eliminate any unnecessary motion. And for most of us anyways, the bad news is our head's attached to our shoulders. So if I move my head, I'm moving my shoulders, which moves the putter, and I'm going to miss putts. So what we're looking at is, what we want to do is we practice from 3 feet and we teach ourselves to be stationary with the putting stroke. So go ahead and hit one. Now, I would think, out of the corner of your eye, if you see the hole, he shouldn't be looking, should he, Scott? Let's see if he keeps his head still. It's hard to do, isn't it?
Yes, it is hard to do.
It's very hard to do. Believe it or not, it's tough. It sounds very simple, but it's really a major cause for a lot of missed putts.
Plus a bad stroke.
One more time. No,
You made
you're
the right
fine.
correction there.
You're fine.
A little overcorrection.
You're fine. Really, and when you're working on a drill like this, don't worry so much about what's happening out there. Excellent. Now, bring it back here, and this is what you should do. Hit 3 or 4 from 3 feet, bring it back to 10 or 12 where you're looking down. Now you can't see the hole. It's a little different perspective. So the temptation is to look quicker, but you're trying to teach yourself to be stationary and not do that. Excellent. Very good putt.
So my head stayed there then.
Good putt. Good putt. Scott, your turn.
You want me to go up close?
I want you to do the same thing.
Okay.
We're going to punish both of you today.
That's fine. Is this 3 feet, Coach?
That's close. 3 feet's not easy,
3 feet.
especially when they've been gimmies for 3 years.
It's 3 feet from somewhere.
How was that?
Mike, how did he do?
Well, I was watching his line. I didn't look at his head.
Well, I think he moved out of it.
I think he peaked just a little. That time he didn't.
Did that go in?
That was excellent.
There you go.
He has a 39-inch putter, so he can get inside the leather a lot easier.
Believe it or not, we have to make these, don't we?
Good. Now
good.
bring it back here.
Okay.
Bring it back here and let's see what you have.
Those last two, I couldn't have told you whether they went in or not. I was concentrating on being a good student.
And you were an excellent student.
Thank you.
Good stroke. Good
Hey,
stroke.
how come the ball ended up at 6 feet past?
Because it was such a good stroke. Okay.
Yeah, I'm sneaking up on it.
You moved a little bit out of that one.
Did I?
See, very, very rarely do you notice when you're doing it. I mean, it's an automatic, it's something inside of us that says, look. One more, then we're going to step number 2. Okay, good stroke.
The hole somewhere in between those two.
Good
isn't it?
stroke. The only thing it takes from here is a little bit of repetition.
Yep.
You both have a real good putting stroke. So, and again, what we're not trying to do here is ever change anything dramatically or you know, just explode in your golf swing or your putting stroke. It's just some subtle changes and foundational things that can help. And just like this might not mean much to you at all, but for someone else, it's like, I never thought of that. You guys are both pretty good golfers, so you know not to look.
Well, I could tell even on those last ones that I putted, I was so interested in making sure that my head didn't stay there, that it didn't seem like I even had a clue on the line.
Right, right. And that's why when you're practicing this drill, don't be so concerned about, in fact, don't even use a hole. Put a tee in the ground,
Right.
because we all think, gee, I've got to make it, I've got to make it. And that takes priority over what we're trying to do.
Oh, that's a good tip.
Number 2 is what we've seen a lot in the last few years. A lot of guys putting, when I grew up, what we called chicken hand, now cross hand, or left hand low. I mean, we're trying to make it as professional sounding as we can. There's a reason why we're doing that, which most people don't even know why. Some guys doing that, and I've asked a lot of guys, they don't even know why they're doing it. They just say, gee, it works better. Why they're doing it is, Scott, go ahead and get set up, and let's just show them what happens to the left wrist in the putting stroke.
You want this down or not?
No, you go ahead and do it your normal way. And what happens is, okay, stay right there. What happens is, watch his left wrist, and as he comes through, the anxiety right here cups the left wrist, changes the angle of the putter, and you're going to miss putts. So what happens if I extend my left arm down, it's more difficult to cup it.
So you have a straighter angle.
It's flat against the shaft. So it's more difficult for it to break down. That's why people are doing that. Some people don't even know why they're doing it. They just say, gee, it feels better.
Is it possible to keep this left hand on top and keep that angle the same?
Yes, it is.
That's what we want.
That's what our goal is. We don't want to make you change your hands because that's very drastic. And that's a move out of desperation. We don't want to be in that position. So what we do, what we think about, we never want to say, okay, I'm going to stop doing this in my swing. We want to pick up on what's going to correct it and be very positive with it, okay?
Sure.
And what that means is if I focus on the back of my left hand and if I make sure that it continues through the putt, instead of getting to the ball and let my hands pop at it, I don't have to worry about that. But it's typically under the pressure and the tension of playing, you get that 3-footer, that 4-footer that you have to make, that anxiety gets here, and that's when you start the jab stroke. That's why, you know, originally the left-hand low started on the senior tour. The guy said, I don't have the nerves to do that anymore. So how do we fix that? And that's how you fix it. But I don't think it's necessary to do. I think you just need to be aware of what's going wrong, and most people don't know that.
Mark, is it possible to keep your head down and to keep your wrist stiff at the same time?
We're working on that. And the bad news is we have one more thing we're working on too.
All right.
And I always tell golfers never work on more than one thing at once. But we're trying to give people a clue as to an entire outline for their putting game. That was excellent.
Thank you, Coach. That was good.
That was very good.
Can we go home now?
No, it's next now. Follow that.
Okay.
Very good. Very good. Same thing. Head still. And jab it short.
That was Jaws, wasn't it?
A little bit.
Tell us what our new word is for the day, Mike.
De-accelerate.
That's going to be next, but right now let's stick with this one.
That was a little de-acceleration right at the end there.
Let's take it one problem at a time. But see, one of the things, if you notice here, if you focus on continuing through, that's going to be very difficult to use that new word we found today.
That's true.
We have other words we can teach you then.
Yeah, we have lots of words.
Okay.
Not bad. It's a lot of stuff to remember for a simple mind.
So far, we only have 2 things, right?
I
That's
can't
what
wait
I'm
till
talking
the third
about.
thing.
That's what I'm talking about.
Okay, good stroke. Good stroke. So far, what do we have?
We have head
still.
down,
No, don't
Head
ever.
still.
head
Head
still,
still.
head still, through the putt, solid
Stiff.
wrist angle.
And let me tell you why we don't say head down.
Right.
Because head down you tend to lock up and just freeze up over the ball when that's what you hear. Because, okay, head down, it's like, okay, let me really grind it and keep it here. Keeping your head still can be in any position and allows you to be relaxed.
Very good. I stand
And that-
corrected.
Well, that's okay.
Thank you.
But you knew it. And the thing is, if Mike, go ahead and hit another putt, because we really want to watch the left hand.
Is it okay there? Break
Tell
down
me-
a little.
Tell me, Scott, what do you see?
We had a mini breakdown there.
Mini breakdown?
That was good.
That was excellent.
Peaked a little though. Because I wanted
Well-
to see if my wrist broke down.
The third thing we're going to work on, and again, like I shared with you, I would never do this to someone in trying to work with their game. It would be one thing at a time, because what you need to do is you can really only have one thought at a time when you're working on something. I think that's true in a lot of areas, especially in golf, because it is a very intense moment trying to make square contact, even with a putter. So what we're trying to do is, yes, we're giving you 3 things, but that's simply to give you an outline. When you take these, take them out one at a time. You know, never try to deal with 2 or 3 at a time. The third issue with putting, again, is, to me, these are the 3 elements that make a good putter. Outside of that, your personality takes over, your attitude takes over. And the third element is making sure that we make a strong move through the ball. In other words, when we're coming through with our putting stroke, we can't be slowing down or backing off or making that jab move at it. And again, this works so closely with the breaking down. If we start to slow down, my mind is already focused on how far the hole is. So to compensate me slowing down, typically what I'm going to do is break down to try to get it there, because my mind knows how far the hole is. So what we're trying to do with accelerating, and one of the little drills that we use, and this is a challenge for everyone. Go ahead and put your golf ball out about 6 inches in front of that.
Looks like what I use in the fairway.
I thought you used green ones.
I didn't know you could use those
You've
on the
become
green
more
too.
honest. I would say move it up a little further.
Long 6 inches.
There you go. Now,
We're trying to stay inside the tee. Is
you
that
can tap the tee, but don't knock it over.
okay?
This is an exaggeration of excellent move.
Now, Mark, are we supposed to be able to keep our head still, wrists firm, and
No.
accelerate through the ball all at the same time
Why not?
Not today.
before our lifetime's over?
Well, a few people never made it. I don't want to sound discouraging, but we have to be honest. Scott, give it a try with the tee. You know, you guys have been around this a long time. You've played a lot of golf. So a lot of this is, for you, let me evaluate my fundamentals. I mean, there's no mystery here. There's no magic.
Well, I'll tell you, Mark, this is the first time I've ever had anyone tell me about putting, and I'm very interested in learning this.
It's a good stroke.
I still want to see if it goes in, though. Can't help that. Does it help to get closer to the tee? Does that force you to accelerate more?
You don't want to get too close out to the, you'll start jabbing to get the ball to the hole. Excellent. See the roll?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times it feels very unnatural to do that.
Mm-hmm.
The reason being is because you're not doing it properly. You know, everyone says, "Gee, it doesn't feel good." Well, that's because you've been doing it the other way for a long time. And that's one of those things. With putting, it's a lot like our alignment. A mistake can sneak into those two areas when we really don't notice, because you don't find a lot of instruction on the putting green. You know, even people who take lessons, they'll take 2 or 3 lessons and learn how to make a swing. Putting seems so simple. Why would I bother? I just need to go up there and tap it and get it in the hole.
Do you find that the average golfer probably leaves, is going to jab at the ball and probably leave putts 2 feet short instead of running them 2 feet past the hole with a chance to make them? Or is that not true?
That's really probably more often than not true. Mm-hmm. Because what happens is, you know, anything that takes the putter out of square at impact, you're not going to get a full true roll. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be short. You're right. Anytime you hit it offline, a different angle coming through, or any of the things we're talking about breaking down, what's going to happen is, yes, it's going to be short, mm-hmm. because it's just like missing the sweet spot on your 7-iron. Mm-hmm. You're missing the sweet spot on your putter. Okay. One more putt. Excellent.
Very nice.
We're going to be right back with Scott and Mike, and we're going to get to know them a little bit. We're going to stay right here for a few minutes and hit a couple more putts because there might be some doubt, and we want to clear that up. So we're going to hit a few more putts, and we'll be right back with you. Thanks. Okay.
This Celebrity Golf Series is brought to you in part by CGA. Get involved with the CGA Youth Instructional League program in your community. Contact your local CGA chapter or CGA National on the web at www.cga.org.
Guys, the putting, what do you think?
Tremendous tips that you gave us right there. Now I just have to work on it and put it in play.
Good, good. The thing about it, I want to remind you real quick before we get into a little talk here to find out more about you, is don't make it too intense. It's not the amount of time you put into it, but it's the quality of the time. You know, if you spend 5 or 10 minutes working on it and being focused, you're going to pick it up. Okay? Guys, we want to get to know you a little bit better. Scott, Major League Baseball career that lasted how many years?
18.
Wow. Mike?
15 years.
That's pretty impressive. It's unique, isn't it?
Well, it's not that unique. It just means that there was some perseverance, along the way, and that I think Mike and I both had certain areas of discipline that was, along with the talent that God's given us, to carry us through. That there were some things I think we both had the right attitude toward the game, and that certainly helps.
You guys played 1 year together.
Right.
Yes, sir.
In Oakland?
Oakland in 1990.
1990? How was that? Did you enjoy it?
That's great. We went to the World Series. It's the only time. Mike had been to the World Series before. That's the only time in my career that I got to the World Series, and it was, without a doubt, the most fun that I've had in the game of baseball.
So that would, not only relationship-wise, but career-wise, kind of a highlight.
Absolutely a highlight.
Very much so. I think relationship-wise, that was probably one of the best baseball years that I had out of my 15 years. Getting the chance, because we had a great year on the baseball field, but we also had a great year playing golf during the baseball season that year. So we were on the baseball tour that summer.
It sounds like it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
When both of us, we made some great friendships there. Even today, as we speak, Mike's played golf recently with some guys from that team, and I talked to guys from that team. And one of the things when you play the game of baseball, there's a lot that goes on the field, the competing against other teams and the throwing of pitches and strikeouts and home runs and all that kind of stuff. But what has a lasting effect is the relationships you make in the game. The guys that we play with, we've each played on enough teams and been friends with enough guys and teammates with enough guys. There's not many people that can tell you our career statistics, but because those come and go. And there's a lot of people, as we just walk around town, there are a lot of people who don't know what we used to do and could care less. And it really doesn't mean that much once the game's over. It means a lot to us while we're in it, but once you're out of the game, it doesn't seem to mean that much. It's the relationships you form in the game and the impact you have on people's lives and the impacts they have on your lives that really is the long-lasting effect of the game of baseball.
You find that to be true, Mike?
I find that to be very much true. I mean, it's, you know, what we did, I mean, first of all, we were blessed to do what we did. I mean, obviously God gave us a talent, because you don't attain that level without a God-given ability, but we were also given the instincts and the work habits that we needed to have to get to that level. You know, they say it, and it really is a true statement, it's not that hard to get to the big leagues on talent. The hard thing is to stay there. And I think the statistics now, the average major league career is still under 4 years for people that actually get there and stay there. So to be able to have gotten there and to stay there for that long was tremendous. And out of that, like Scott said, come all the relationships, all the people you've met, not only on the field but off the field around the country over all those years. You've met a lot of people, some young, some old, some in between, but there's a lot of memories there.
Right. Talking about relationships, because sounds like we're hitting on that a lot. I know in what we're trying to do with the kids in our youth instruction leagues, we focus pretty much entirely on relationships, because that's where a lot of things happen, a lot of give and take, a lot of opportunities to share and relate and develop some things. In talking about relationships, because we're really here to find out what you guys are really about. And you know, I've spoken with both of you, and I've heard both of you talk and share, and that comes down to Jesus Christ. Relate a little bit to us through your career, maybe when it happened, what it meant to you, because again, I think people look at you and say, why would you need God? You know, you've got it. Why would you need God? And I guess the question is, why did you need God?
Right. Well, I think when you said you got it, I think the first thing that needs to be pointed out is whatever we have, whatever we got it means is, where did it come from? And we acknowledge that it came, any talent that we have comes from Jesus Christ. And there's no doubt that we've been given this talent. Now it's up to us to develop the talent. Everyone out there, every child out there right now has been given a unique talent. Some might be athletic talent, others might be artistic talent, others relational talent. There's all sorts of talents. And if each person were to understand that God has put His individual thumbprint on each person, now it's up to us to figure out, okay, what is that talent? And then even more importantly, what does God want us to do with it? How can we develop that talent for His glory? And if we're going to walk through life, an unexamined life is a wasted life. And so it became very obvious to me when I was at college, you know, away from my home for the first time, where I had to make decisions on my own. That to me was the time where I really had to grow up. And the decisions I had to make, I realized there was consequences that came with them, and I was now responsible for them. My parents weren't there to tell me to get out of bed and go to school. If I wanted to sleep in, I could sleep in, but I'd reap the negative consequences of that. And it was at that point that I really started examining my life and said, okay, God, you know what? You've given me this talent. You expect something from me. Let me see what it is. And it was then up to me to go ahead and develop that gift as best I could to give God the glory for it.
That's good to hear you share. It's almost an honoring of God. I know where it comes from. That's good to hear, especially in athletics, because it's so easy to get wrapped up into, look what I've done. Because we think it's just our physical skill, and we worked hard and we've earned it. And like you said, to a certain extent that's true, but someone else has to be there with it. The
only thing I've done is tried to be obedient to the call that God's given me in my life. Everything I have has come from Him, and everything I do is for Him.
Mike, during your playing career, was it before, during, or after that you actually, you know, started connecting with that obedience with God and what was supposed to happen in your life?
Well, I made the connection after I got to college. I grew up in a non-Christian home, grew up in a small town, and had never heard about how I could have a relationship with Christ. And I ended up at Oral Roberts University, which at the time had one of the top 5 baseball programs in the country. And I went there to play baseball, and I found something more important, and that was Jesus Christ. And at that point in my life, that was when I learned where the honor and the glory should go from the talent that I was given through baseball. And I'm not sitting here telling you it was perfect and it was all hunky-dory, but that was the process and the stepping stones that I had to build on to learn where the obedience factor came in and who was in control of my life.
Guys, thanks for joining us today. We appreciate you being here. Folks, if you heard something today that spoke to your heart, here's what I want you to do. I want you to find the person that shared this program with you, and I want you to talk to them about it. If what Mike shared or Scott really spoke something into your life and you heard something there that you might even have questions about, what does that mean and how does it work? Go back to that person who shared this with you and ask them about it. Thanks for joining us.